you want to get your products into retail stores, I know a few things about that, and today I'm going to share them with you. Back in 2016, I started a handmade business called From Molly with Love, and we sell all natural skincare and aromatherapy products. And I started it in the kitchen of my 500 square foot apartment. We were selling on Etsy and at craft fairs and farmers markets, and I think that year we did like $6,000 in revenue. Fast forward 2 years to 2018, and we're selling in hundreds of retail stores nationwide and in 6 other countries, and we're stocking our products in boutiques and spas and yoga studios and clean beauty stores and even major retailers like Urban Outfitters and Francesca's. And in just 2 years, we went from that $6,000 in annual revenue to over $500,000. So many of my maker friends have asked me, Molly, how did you do it? In fact, I used to do paid consulting on this very topic. So I'm gonna share with you things today that people usually pay me money to hear. You're welcome. And this will be a 2-part series. This is part 1. Today we're going to cover the foundations. That includes your pricing, your packaging, photography, and your line sheet. In part 2, we'll delve into how to actually get wholesale customers and what to do once they've started to purchase from you. So be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell so you know when that part 2 video comes out. But first, let's talk about the pros and cons of selling wholesale. Let's start with the cons. You're gonna make smaller profit margins than selling directly to the consumer. And then there's the question of scaling. You have to be prepared to take on potentially a much higher volume of orders than what you're used to. Do you have enough inventory? Are you properly resourced? What are your turnaround times? Do you have enough manpower to fill all those orders? But then there are the pros. Selling your product in retail stores gives you access to new customers, it strengthens your marketing and your credibility, and it expands your brand awareness. Sometimes you might even get PR opportunities or free social media and influencer marketing campaigns. Oftentimes you get UGC or user-generated content. And then there's the money. Higher volume sales can skyrocket your top line revenue growth. In my case, growing my business this way through selling into retail stores was much more cost effective than trying to scale by buying expensive online ads. All right, let's get into these tips. The first and most important consideration is pricing. Do not sleep on this. Do not go off of vibes. I know so many makers who just pulled their product price out of thin air and expected that to work. And then when retailers approach them to stock their products, they're like,
oh, I guess I have to cut that in half and now I'm not making any money on my product.
So retailers typically expect your wholesale price to be about 50% below MSRP. So you have to have enough margin baked in to ensure that 50% cut. And the first step is to determine your break-even price. Break-even price is also sometimes known as cost of goods. That's how much it costs to make your finished product. Here's an example of how I do this in a spreadsheet. You'll want to start by listing all the raw materials that go into producing your product. And don't forget things like admin, overhead, labels, shipping, and any potential labor costs. And that will get you to your total cost per item or your break-even price. And then you use this, you apply formulas on top of this to determine your wholesale price and your MSRP. And then you see here I have calculated my retail profit and my wholesale profit and the margins. And I have an example of this spreadsheet linked in the description box below. There are a lot of pricing formulas and theories out there, differentiated pricing, absorption pricing. You just gotta pick the best one for your needs. But a very common one that a lot of makers use is break-even price times 2 or more equals your wholesale price. And then your wholesale price times 2 or more equals your MSRP. Now, as you see here on this spreadsheet, I've got this baked in as well. So you have the CPI or the break-even price, and you see that my wholesale markup is 2.2. So I did a little more than 2, and I'll get into the reason for that in a little bit. So then that takes the CPI, it's $3.94, and then your wholesale price, if you mark that up by 2.2, is $8.67, and then you mark that up again by 2.2, and you get get your retail price, which is $19.07. I recommend that you be a lot more strategic about your pricing beyond even what these formulas tell you to do. Consider, how are competitive products priced? You typically want to fall within the pricing range of your competitors, which might cause you to make some adjustments on your pricing strategy. Or do you want your products to be priced lower than competitors to undercut the competition? Or do you want to price your products higher than the competition to provide the perception of luxury? And how much margin do you need to keep the business healthy? Having margin, even when you're selling wholesale, enables you to invest in sales tools like gifting or sampling programs. It enables you to offer volume pricing to larger retailers. And an example of this is that in my first year of business, I wanted to grow, but I didn't have a big marketing budget. And so this was the time when subscription boxes were all the rage.
R.I.P. subscription box trend.
But I knew that if I could get my products in these subscription boxes, I could reach tens or hundreds of thousands of new potential customers. And not only would it be free marketing, but it would be me getting paid to do this marketing. Because these subscription boxes, they want to purchase your products, but they want to do it right around your break-even price. They want a massive discount on the wholesale price. So I knew that if I priced my products properly, that I could sell to subscription boxes and still eke out just a little bit of a margin. And that was such a key component of how we were able to grow the business so quickly in just 2 years. Let's talk about labeling and packaging. If your product is one that has a label or a package, you have to ask yourself objectively, will this look good on the shelves of the stores that I'm trying to sell to? Would the buyer be attracted to this product in a retail environment? And I know that we've put our heart and our soul into our creations.
There are little babies.
And so we may not be able to objectively assess this. So ask a friend, ask an expert maybe, ask a stranger, because this is crucial. I'll give you an example of my own. So these are our products, and I have stocked these products on the shelves of hundreds of retailers, and they move just fine. But if I'm being honest, if I'm really being objective in my assessment, so I designed these when like minimalism was super in, but maybe the next iteration will have pops of color on the label. Maybe we'll have larger fonts. So take a look at what's trending in retail packaging right now. Another tip that I have is to check out the Instagram page for the stores that you want to sell to and take a look at their vibe. Maybe go in person and visit these stores themselves. Maybe even talk to the store manager and ask what kinds of products are moving quickly, what types of packaging are people drawn to. Let's talk about product photography. You're gonna need 2 types of photos. The first is your standard issue product shot. That is your product up against a white background, so you can just kind of see what it looks like. You'll use these types of shots on your website. You can see an example here of mine, but your retailers might also ask you for copies of these for their own website, and these also go into your line sheet, and I'll show you an example of that shortly, so stick around. The other type of shot that you're going to need are like editorial or Instagram type shots. These are your styled shots where everything looks really pretty. Maybe it features a product collection, and retailers will also ask you for these for their own marketing, maybe for their social media. But these types of shots also go in your line sheets, and they go into the pitching materials that you send to retailers, and we'll cover that in the next video. But one thing that I definitely recommend that you have is a hero image. A hero image is like the basic, this is all of our products, right? So here's an example of our first hero image. This goes on the cover of your line sheet. What is a wholesale line sheet? This is essentially your product catalog, and it is one of the most important parts of this whole process. Retailers expect that you have these ready to go, and oftentimes this is the first representation of your product line that a buyer will see before placing an order. So generally, in terms of content, there is a cover page. Maybe you include like an About Us section. You've got product photos, product listings, you've got all the prices, wholesale order terms, and your order form. So here you see we have the front cover. Our hero image is the first thing that you see, along with some other editorial images. And then at the top of each page, we have our wholesale ordering terms, which I'll get into in just a moment. You can see here, we've got our products, we've got our photo, product name, the SKUs. Of course, for this one, I have 2 SKUs because it comes in 2 sizes. There's a sentence for a description, and then the recommended retail and wholesale prices, as well as minimums. So we'll keep going. The other thing that you can see here is that if a product is a bestseller, we do a little call out here so that retail buyers can know which things are going to move off of their shelves quickest. And then here you see our order form. When it comes to design, you could DIY this if you're really crafty with Canva or Adobe, but I do not recommend it. We hired a company called Lucky Break Consulting. They're linked below. And now let's talk about wholesale terms, because this is super important. So here are some things to consider asking yourself and including in your wholesale terms. What is your minimum order size? And then will you do a separate order size for reorder? Do you require payment to come up front, or will you offer net 30, 60, or 90-day payment terms? What payment methods will you accept, and how will you accept payment? What are your expected shipping timeframes and costs? Do you offer testers or sampling program? And what will you do in the case of damages or customer returns? And with that foundation in place, you're ready to go out and get your first retail customers. Be sure to check out part 2 in this series so that you can figure out which stores should you even approach and how do you find them? How do you pitch the stores? How do you actually get the customers? And then what do you do after they've purchased from you so that you can guarantee that you get repeat orders? That's it for today's video. If it was helpful to you, please smash the like button and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions at all, please put them in the comments and I'll try my best to respond to each one. Until next time, bye!